ביאור משנה ד'. Let's do Mishnah Dalet also. החושש בשיניו. Somebody is got a toothache. Again, it is not something which is dangerous. He's got a toothache. He's not going to die. המרגיש בשבת כאב בשיניו. He feels he has a toothache. לא יגמע בהן את החומץ. So he says he's not allowed to take vinegar and gargle. Gargle with vinegar. He's not allowed to gargle with vinegar. לא ימלא פיו חומץ. He's not allowed to fill his mouth with vinegar. כדי לרפא את כאבו. In order so that his pain will go away. Why? שהכל מכירים שעושה זה לרפואה. Because everybody sees that he's doing it for medicine. Now, it's actually interesting. What do you mean by if you drink it? If you drink it, you're probably allowed to. You're allowed to drink chometz. Because you drink it a little bit. The problem is, it looks like, I think what he's talking about over here, that the guy is taking it in and then spitting it out. If you're spitting it out, you show that you're doing it for medicine. But if you're eating it, you want to drink mitz melafifonim, chamutzim. Go ahead, drink. Swish it in your mouth even if you want. That you will be allowed to. Yeah? Aval, he says something similar. Aval הוא מטבל כדרכו, but he's allowed to eat it. How? He puts his bread inside, and puts it in his mouth, and eats the bread with a little bit of vinegar inside. מטבל הוא את פיתו בחומץ, לא אכלה כדרכו, and then he eats it the right way. So as long as it looks like he's eating, he's not doing it for medicine, he's okay. ואם נתרפא, נתרפא. And if it worked on him, good. בגמרא אמרו, in the Gemara this says, שאף לגמוע חומץ אינו אסור. In the Gemara it says that even if he drinks vinegar, it's not forbidden. אלא כשהוא פולטו. Only when he spits it out. שניכר הדבר שלרפואה הוא מגמה. When he spits it up, he shows that he's doing it for medicinal purposes. אבל המגמה הוא בולע מותר, but if he takes vinegar and he drinks it, go ahead, gesundheit. וכתבו הפוסקים, the sages wrote, שהמדובר כאן במי שיש לו מיחוש בלבד. We're talking about somebody with a small toothache. אבל מי שיש לו צער רב מחמת כאב שיניים, but someone who gets like, he's completely fierce. You can be a small toothache or a big toothache. Someone's got a big toothache. וכל says, what's a big, how do you know the difference? The difference is if your body becomes weak. You know, sometimes, it's a good answer for our broken bones. It's a good answer now. If somebody crushed his finger in the door, you know, his finger is throbbing. His body doesn't become weak. He's still a strong man. He feels, I have a pain in my finger. Somebody who breaks an arm, now there can be two possibilities. Either he breaks his arm, he feels pain in the arm, but he feels strong. But if he started to feel his body becoming weak, that's already dangerous.
זה קרה לי, שנשברה לי, ונשארתי, אמרתי, מה אני אלך לבית חולים? אני אשאר, בלילה אני אלך.
And was the body weak?
No.
So,
I felt fine. I said to myself, it's okay, you know. Because you see, אתה רואה שזה נשבר.
I think, though, practically, it's a suffix. Practically, I think you can even go to the hospital. You can drive to the hospital in such a case. Okay. Practically. And I tell you why. I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor. You don't know what happened there. The bone might cut something when it broke. You know, it's protruding a little bit. Might cut a nerve. It's going to make a big thing. You don't know what's going to happen. So it's safer to go. Yeah. I know that people might not do it, but it's safer to because if you're a doctor, that's one thing. You know exactly what's happening. But if you're not a doctor, you know.
You need to be a doctor today to know the end.
Yeah, but you don't know what you know inside, especially if sometimes the bone is completely out.
כן, אתה רואה, אבל גם תלוי בבן אדם, it's depend on the people, you know. There is people that they have a little cut, they already, that's the end of the road. There is people that, you know, they're been around.
Yeah. And here we have the rule, if the body itself becomes weak,
goes by the people, by the guy, how he react to all this situation.
החושש במותניו בשבת, somebody who feels his hips on Shabbat, lo yasuch yain v'chometz. He's not allowed to anoint himself with oil, with vinegar or with wine. Why not vinegar and wine? Because people do anoint themselves on their motnaim, but they never anoint themselves with vinegar or wine. They anoint themselves with mevradim, with all kinds of nice things. But over here you show that you're doing it for what? For medicine. שאין צריכים אותו במתן לרפואה, because you only use vinegar and wine for medicine. אבל סחו את השמן, but he's allowed to put regular oil in his hips. שאף בריאים דרכם לסוך שמן על גופם, because also healthy people do oil on their body. ולא שמן ורד, and also not with oil of roses. וכן אסור לסוך שמן ורד, and they don't use rose oil, לפי שדמיו יקרים, because it's expensive, והכל מכירים שאינו סח אותו אלא לרפואה. And people are saying he's not going to waste this oil unless he's sick. בני מלכים סחים שמן ורד על מכותיהם. But if you're a son of a king, then you're allowed to use whatever kind of oil, whatever kind, because you all the time, that's the oil you use all the time. בשבת שכן דרכם לסוך בחול, because that's what they use always. שמן ורד על גופם, אף כשאין להם מכה. They always put the expensive oil even when they're not sick. רבי שמעון אומר, רבי שמעון is going to disagree, and he says, כל ישראל בני מלכים. And he says,
I love רבי שמעון.
I don't understand רבי שמעון at all.
אומר, מה זה בני מלכים?
But if you're talking about halacha over here, if you never use it...
בני עשירים, לא בני מלכים, בני עשירים.
Yeah, but Rabbi Shimon says even a poor person is allowed to.
Because he's Ben Melech.
Yeah, but why is he allowed to? He never uses it. Yeah, but he doesn't use it. He shows it לרפואה.
Because the heter is for Bnei Melachim, not Ashirim.
I think
the heter was supposed to be for Ashirim.
Yeah, the Bnei Melachim, when the guy says Bnei Melachim,
מתכוון לעשירים.
That's what he meant. He didn't. And Rabbi Shimon knows it.
Sorry.
Rabbi Shimon knows it. He knows it. He's not. So what is logical?
Why would he say something?
Let's see. Maybe he's going to explain. ומה שמותר לבני מלכים מותר לכל ישראל. It says once you So we actually had such a thing. You remember when? Well, in the beginning of Masechet Brachot, if you remember, we asked, until when are you allowed to say Shema in the morning? And it says until the 4th hour. And it says why until the 4th hour? Because Bnei Melachim kamim in the 4th hour. So even though nobody else in the world has the permission to get up so late, except them, once you give them permission, the Bnei Melachim to read it so late, I give everybody else there to give brother. I think maybe the Rabbi Shimon says it's kind of similar to that. Once you give one group permission, you have to give everybody else permission. I think that's what his logic is.
I like it.
Okay? I think, but I'm not sure. Let's continue. Bagmara Amru, in the Gemara, they're discussing these things. שבמקום ששמן ורד מצוי, that it's a place that people use, or it's found a lot of oil from roses, ודרך בני אדם לסוך בו, and people do use it, מותר גם למי שחושש ממותניו להשתמש בו. Everybody is allowed to use it. ומכאן פוסק הרמב"ם, the Rambam has a פסק דין over here, שההלכה כרבי שמעון, that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon. It says you can't say some people are allowed to do it, some people are. Otherwise, you would say, if you're a poor person, you have to say Shema by this time. And if you're a rich person, you can say Shema by this time. The halacha has to be for everybody. And even though you're right, it doesn't make sense. People don't wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning at those times. People woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. 99% of the people woke up after. Still, because of the 1% that you give permission for the entire Jewish nation to say it late. So also over here, since 1% are allowed to do it, I give you permission to the entire Jewish people to do it.
Rambam. You see Rambam saying Rabbi Shimon.
Shehalacha keRabbi Shimon. That the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon, only when though, im arbe bnei adam mishtamshim b'shemen zeh. So the Rambam is in between, not exactly. It says, as long as A lot of people, I don't know, 40% of the people would use it, then yes. But if in 1%, I think the Rambam will disagree with Rabbi Shimon. ותימה על הרב מברטנורה שכותב ואין הלכה כרבי שמעון. It says the Bartenura says the halacha is not like Rabbi Shimon. Yeah, and again you can understand because the Rambam doesn't agree with Rabbi Shimon. It looks like he is in between. He is somewhere in between.
You have the problem with discrimination. That say what?
So let's try to say it one more time. It looks like maybe you can say it's Gavra and Hefza. What's Gavra and Hefza? Gavra and Hefza is Rabbi Shimon is looking on the Hefza, on the object, not on the man. It says once you permit the object, you permitted the object forever, and the Chachamim are looking at the man. Once you permitted it to the man, not the object. Rabbi Shimon says that makes much more sense. Rabbi Shimon says once you permitted the object is permitted for everybody. Chachamim says I never permitted the object. I permitted the man to use the object, and I only permitted this man and not that man. That's the machloket.
That's the machloket.
That's the machloket.